Handicap the presidential race coming up for us. You have some personalities where Chris Christie looks to many like he's emerging as the establishment candidate. You've got Marco Rubio, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, clearly running for the ring, all first-term senators. Normally, there's a genuine opposition candidate who will come up against the establishment. How do you handicap the GOP in 2016?
This is going to be the strongest field the Republicans have had since Reagan ran.
Do any of these guys look like Reagan to you?
Here's the good news. They're all running as Reagan Republicans, okay? When Reagan ran in 78, in 76 and 80, he was the only Reagan Republican running, and he was the only strong candidate running in those races. 4 years ago, last election cycle, seems like 4 years ago, in 12, you had 10 Republicans on stage. 3 of them were running for president. The other 7 were running for radio talk show host or to sell books. 7 were running for radio talk show host or to sell books. The 3 that were running, that were serious candidates, were the governor of Romney of Massachusetts,
right,
former governor, Governor Pawlenty of Minnesota, and Governor Perry of Texas. Okay, those 3 could run nationally. They've been governor. They've been governor for 4, 8, 10 years, and they were serious candidates. When he didn't catch fire in Iowa, Pawlenty dropped out because he was running for president. The other guys who were running to sell books, they didn't win in Iowa. They didn't drop out because they weren't running for president. They were selling books or doing something else. This time around, look at who's around the table. Chris Christie, for sure. Significant reforms in that state, $130 billion in reduced unfunded liabilities in the state pension system, ended the millionaire's tax, no tax increase, period. You have Governor...
so he fits the Grover Norquist filter. He gets through.
Well, yeah, I think what you're looking at is somebody who could finance a campaign all the way through, look you in the eye and say competence, seriousness. Governor
Rand Paul?
Rand Paul. Let me do the governors first, and then we'll do the 3 senators, because I think the advantages with governors, they can raise money more easily, they can show individual accomplishments in a way that the senator says, look what I did. Yeah, but 50 other people voted the same way. Why are you special?
So Christie's serious.
Christie, certainly Governor Scott Walker of Wisconsin, who has changed that state from a blue state into a red state, changing labor laws and all sorts of other things.
Who are you more enthusiastic about between Walker
let's go
and
through the
Christie?
5, because
okay.
As long as they're all willing to run as non-tax increasing candidates, I'm cheerfully agnostic. And Governor Bush of Florida, Dad's Rolodex, 8 years, successful governor. We're grading on a curve. He didn't have as Republican a state as Governor Scott does now there in the legislature, but he governed well. And Governor Perry will run again. He didn't do, he had the falter this last time, but he's actually quite articulate, quite bright, and will have been governor for 14 years. Longest serving,
so
most
Rick
successful.
Perry gets through the Grover Norquist filter?
I think so. No tax increase, significant reforms in the state.
And 5th?
Governor of Louisiana, Bobby Jindal. 500,000 kids have school choice scholarships to go public or private. As a result, they passed an ethics law in Louisiana. That actually has teeth in it. The legislature will never forgive him for talking them into that. So there you have, and there's some that could surprise. Pence in Indiana, very competent, governed well. Brownback of Kansas. Smaller states haven't been governor as long, but would pass the laugh test and could run sustained. The 3 senators you mentioned run with the disadvantage of being senators. Because you can give speeches as a senator, but it's a little hard to say, and I fixed the state pension system, or I didn't raise taxes. Well, neither did anyone else. So it's just tougher to do. But certainly Rand Paul represents the small L libertarian wing of the modern Republican Party, appeals well to young people, has presented himself well, and I think would do so. And certainly Rubio in Florida, Hispanic, and a number of other, has both speaks well and governs well. And Ted Cruz needs to be famous for something other than the belly flop of defund or nothing, because it didn't work, okay? But that said, he's come back, and all the Republicans in the Senate are on board for a more measured approach of arguing with the president on how to fix Obamacare.
You know, tomorrow we've got Karl Rove coming in to join us in the final act of Washington Ideas Forum. And as I think I told you previously, Karl in Aspen this summer at the Aspen Ideas Festival really lambasted the Republican Party, the leadership, where it was going on things like immigration, you know, even things like gay rights and others, and said, look, we're getting ourselves into a smaller and smaller and smaller corner and getting boxed in. And I had the privilege of inviting you over to the Atlantic recently, and you sat in the same room on chairs with Rahm Emanuel, talking about two very powerful people in parties. And I'm interested in the outreach that people like you in the classic GOP are doing on things like immigration. And we've just got a couple of minutes, but I'm interested in how you basically preserve the important and good parts of the GOP and not get washed down into the gutter with some of the stuff we've been seeing lately.
Sure. Look, the winning message for the modern Republican Party is we're not going to raise your taxes. We're going to reform government so it works and it doesn't cost so much. And we're going to have a strong national defense that keeps the Canadians on their side of the border. But we're not going to be going and micromanaging countries we can't pronounce. Okay, and that's Reagan Republicanism. And the good news is that the modern Republican Party, House and Senate governors, is a Reagan Republican Party now, which wasn't true 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Certainly wasn't true when Reagan showed up. That said, the Republican Party needs to do what Chris Christie did, which is reach out and get 51% of the Hispanic vote. Perry polled over 40% of the Hispanic vote in Texas.
They're not doing it. You don't have an immigration bill.
No, candidates are doing this. Governors can do it easier than congressmen and senators. But congressmen and senators need to reach out to the immigrant communities in their states, in their cities, in their congressional districts. I believe we will see an immigration bill. I think the danger comes from whether Obama really wants a bill. And the reason to wonder about that is he was president for all of 2009 and all of 2010 with a supermajority of Democrats in the House and Senate, and he didn't push a bill, he didn't write a bill, he didn't talk about a bill. Every day for 365 days, he woke up, didn't do anything on immigration, went to bed. That was a successful day.
You have people like Marco Rubio and others who've stepped forward and then stepped back. You can't blame that on President Obama.
Oh, no. I'm talking about the Republicans need to be there. A bill passed out of the Senate, not my particular cup of tea, but a step forward in getting the conversation going. And what you do have on the Republican side is agreement on serious border security, not 47,000 troops on the border, but border security. And you want to have something there for high tech, for the farming industry, and you want to do something for the people who are here so they don't have to live in the shadows and regularize their ability to be here and continue to work.